Imagine this. You've been sitting in a room for hours with your textbook in front of you. You check the time and it's already midnight. But no matter how much you want to go sleep, you cannot because your exam is coming soon. Even though you've been studying for hours, you still feel like you haven't learned anything much. Your mind always wanders off to focus on other things and you can't concentrate on studying. Well, if this sounds like you, in this video I'll be sharing the 5 main causes why people feel tired when they study, and I will also share how you can avoid them. So without further ado, let's look at the first reason. Cramming is when you procrastinate studying until the very last days before your exams. And it's one of those things where you know that it's bad, but it's really tough to get out of the trap. And the reason why cramming is bad is because when you cram, you get this feeling of having to complete so much work in such a short period of time. And this feeling creates stress, anxiety, disappointment, and so much more negative things. And when you have these negative feelings, your brain feels the need to do something to get rid of all those stress. And as a result, you lose focus on studying and your mind wanders off to do something else. Now, the obvious answer when it comes to avoiding cramming is to start studying early. But let's say your exam is tomorrow and you don't have time. Well, the one thing that I'd recommend is to define what you'll be studying. So for example, let's say you have a mathematics exam tomorrow. Instead of just thinking, oh, I've got to study mathematics within 5 hours or else I will fail tomorrow's exam. Try breaking it down into smaller chunks and thinking, for example, I will be studying differentiation for the next 25 minutes. And then after that, I will move on to my next topic. So instead of just focusing on this huge mountain of mathematics, you're now shifting your focus to the small steps that will lead you up the mountain. Now, there's a bit of an argument when it comes to multitasking. Some people say that multitasking while studying is good because it trains your brain to do 2 different things at once, and it can boost your creativity. Plus, multitasking makes studying less boring and it feels like you're accomplishing so much more in a short amount of time. But many studies have also shown that multitasking while you're studying is not such a good thing. Because studying is such a complex task for your brain, when you're multitasking, you're not doing 2 things at once. You're simply shifting your concentration to the other thing. So in other words, you're constantly losing focus when you study. And constantly losing focus when you study can make your study sessions be longer, therefore you feel more tired. So whether it is texting your friend, scrolling through YouTube or Instagram, or watching TV, try not to multitask the next time you study. But if studying just seems too boring for you and you can't stick with it for hours, the one thing that I'd recommend you do is to study in short bursts, and I will talk about this more in my next tip. So when it comes to studying, I feel like lots of people have this idea where the more effort you put in, the higher results will be. So lots of people would study for hours while taking no breaks at all. So they'd study all night and push themselves as hard as they can, thinking that this is discipline. This is what you must go through if you want to get high score. And to be honest, this sounds like a very fair idea, but unfortunately, it's not true. If you spend more time studying than your friend, it does not mean that you will get a higher score. The truth is, your brain starts losing focus when you've been concentrating on the same task for more than 40 minutes. So if your study session is longer than 40 minutes, after the 40 minutes mark, you will start to lose focus and your study won't be as effective as before. So instead of having these long study sessions and burning yourself out, try studying in short bursts instead. These bursts can be anywhere around 20 to 30 minutes because it's a good time for your brain to concentrate on a task without being distracted. And when you start studying in short bursts, not only will you have full focus on your work, but you will also be leveraging spaced repetition. So between each burst, you will have the time to forget what you've studied and remember it again in the next burst. And if you partially forget something and remember it over and over again for many times, that information will be embedded into your brain. So it's good for long-term memory. So to sum it up, instead of studying in these long study sessions, try changing to short bursts instead. When you're doing practice questions, it's easy to focus on your scores because your score is just a big number and tells you how good you are. But the truth is, this isn't a very healthy way to look at studying because when you focus on your scores, this could lead to disappointment and stress when you get a question wrong. So instead of focusing so much on your results, try focusing on the process of learning instead. What I mean by this is you should forget about the score that you get. All you should be focusing on is learning something new every time you do practice questions. So as long as you've learned something new, you're on the right path. Focus on the process of learning and let the scores take care of itself. And when you approach practice questions this way, you will start to appreciate every wrong question that you get because it's an opportunity for you to learn how to do the question and never repeat the same mistake again. And this has been one of the biggest game changers for me. It completely removed my stress and disappointment from studying. It turns every situation into a win-win moment because when I get a question right, I'm happy that I got it right. But if I get a question wrong, then I am also happy because it's an opportunity for me to learn how to do that question and never repeat the mistake again. Every study session will feel like a win. So the next time you do practice questions, try shifting your focus from your scores to the process of learning. And remember, as long as you're learning something new, you are on the right path. So music is a sensitive topic because it strongly depends from person to person. But generally, studies have shown that loud music or any music with lyrics can typically distract you from your studying. So if you're a person who typically listens to loud music or any music with lyrics when you study, there's a good chance that it is subconsciously distracting you from the study, making you feel tired. So if you want to fix this, a way to overcome is to stop listening to music. Now, of course, this is easier said than done. The first few study sessions that you do without music will feel very unproductive and rough, but you just have to stick with it. You have to teach your brain that you won't die if you don't study with music. Nothing is going to happen to you. And after 4 or 5 studying sessions without music, you'll find that your concentration will increase. But again, music is a sensitive area because it depends from person to person. So if you're a person who listens to music when you study and you constantly feel tired, it may be worth it to try stop listening to music or switching to ambience music. But if you're able to fully concentrate on your study, even though you're listening to music, then good for you. So those were the 5 main reasons why people feel tired when they study. If you found this video even a bit helpful, please consider subscribing because I have a lot more content incoming.